Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Perth. I've just driven down from Geraldton today for a special occasion. I've parked the van under a beautiful tree and I've come down here to Mossman Park to this cinema here because tonight they're going to do a special presentation of the 1986 movie WINDRIDER. The feature film that was basically based on a character that windsurfs, that was played by Tom Burlinson, a really famous actor who was also the star of Man from Snowy River. And tonight, apparently, they're doing a showing of the movie, and they've got some. I think they may have had the director of the movie here. They've got Dave Sheen, who's a windsurfing legend, who was basically the actual windsurfer in the movie. So yeah, it's going to be a special night. There's going to be a question and answer session. Some of you may have seen this WINDRIDER movie. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's a bit of a funny one. It's a little bit cheesy, but God, how good is it to see a windsurfing movie on a big movie screen? So I'm not going to complain. And it's got Nicole Kidman in it as well, which is pretty amazing because she's obviously now a massive Hollywood star. I believe WINDRIDER was her second movie she ever did after BMX Bandits. Here we are. Tell you what, it's a bit of a spin out getting out of Geraldton into the city. I forgot what civilization looks like. Here's the, can you see that? WINDRIDER. It's sold out. There was, I think, 150 tickets. Here we are. Thought I'd take you along for the journey. See what we find. Oh my God, look at this. This is gonna be funny. Look here. How cool is that? Oh, this is it. So I forgot to mention they're going to do live 80s music. A film screening. How cool, huh? Check this out. Alright, let's go in. Hopefully they don't mind me filming. Look at the beautiful purple colour. cool, isn't it? Oh my God. Oh, there's some classics here. This is so cool. I'm so happy I came down. Look at this one. So we're all sitting in these seats and we've all got a headphone each, so that's how we're going to watch the movie. Never been to the cinema before. It's actually beautiful. It's outdoor. God, who remembers that one? The acid, isn't it? God, that looks so narrow now. Oh my goodness. The Assy. Some beauties. God. Oh my God, the Delta. I haven't seen a Delta in a while. In case you don't know a Delta, that's a Martin Littlewood Margaret River brand that was really big in the 80s and 90s. I mean, in the 90s, certainly. Holy shit, look at that sail. Is that from the movie? Oh my God. That looks like the sail from the movie. Yeah.
Alright, so next drink, you ready for what?
Oh, it's filling up. Scotty's got his eye on this this beauty, whatever it is.
In the day, it's great. I've got Paul White there, who was my first windsurf teacher back in the day when I managed to cut my heel off and he took me to hospital. And Scotty McKercher's here. You'd see those old films or my dad's old Super 8 movies, and the first one was the 1982 Bridge to Bridge, which Scott won, and then he went on to become world champion, so we should have known then how good he was going to become. And then the other movie was of the 1987 Ledge to Lancelin race, which was the famous race that we all competed in or watched over the years. The crowds are incredible, and you'll kind of see some shots of similar things in WINDRIDER. So without further ado, I'd just like to start the Q&A. So I'd like to welcome Paul Barron, the producer of the film. I used to work for Paul when I started out as a young entertainment lawyer, and Rob Garton-Smith, who I also worked with, is also here. And Kim Ballard, who played Coyote in the film, and the star of the film, Dave Sheen, who was P.C. Anderson's Simpsons body stunt double in the movie, and the windsurf advisor. So I'd like to get them one by one to come up and give you their thoughts on making the film, and also open it up to questions afterwards, which I'm sure we all have a few questions. It was such a wonderful time back then when, you know, we had the World Windsurfing Championships, we had the America's Cup. We were really the centre of sailing and windsurfing of the world back then. So it was so insightful that Paul went and made this film, and it was a great success, and he managed to get Nicole Kidman. Well, it was to us. So Paul, I'd like to bring you up. Yeah, Paul Barron. Okay. Paul, so if you can give us some of your thoughts on how you came up with the idea, or you were telling me before about the script came to you and stuff, and just how it all eventuated.
Well, part of your job of a producer is to simply recognize a great idea when it hits you right in the face. And that's certainly what happened here. The writer was Everett DeRoche, who was working with Bonnie Harris. Everett was a very well-known and very respected scriptwriter back then, Melbourne-based. And Bonnie was with Roadshow Pictures, and she was Sydney-based. And they brought the project to me. I, as you may have gathered, looking at me, my favorite line is that I don't windsurf. I'm more likely to be ballast on a 12-meter or something like that. I don't recall exactly, actually, to be honest with you, how Vince Montan came on board as the director, but he was a DOP. And he certainly was inspired by the prospect of doing this film. Nicole Kidman, on the other hand, we had had in her first ever feature, which was Bush Christmas a few years before. She'd gone on to do BMX Bandits, but this was her first role, if you will, as an adult. And we paired her up with Tom Burlinson. Out of that came a multi-year romance between the two of them, if your memory goes back that far. But they certainly had chemistry on screen, and that was what helped sell the film, obviously. Probably the best story I can tell about the film was after it was made, which was there was an LA agent who represented the film into the States, and he sold it to United Artists. And United Artists offered $1 million US at that stage for the movie. Now, I have to tell you, even today, Australian movies don't get 1 million US out of the States up front. We were offered this. We immediately said yes. The gentleman at United Artists, I think, started to get slightly cold feet, but the deal was done. So that meant we were in contracting. And what they would do is insist on some insane clause. And our policy became, all right, we'll protest madly for 3 days, then give up. And this went on through several drafts of the contract with clauses coming up. I think we ended up giving them Neptune by memory. But we were prepared to do anything because $1 million was huge by the time. I mean, put in comparison, Crocodile Dundee that same year was sold for an advance of $3 million. So from our standards for this Western Australian film that was made on a budget of a few $1 million, to get that kind of deal out of the States was frankly remarkable. And we were not going to let it go under any circumstances. And that's part and parcel of obviously what filmmaking is. I mean, we here in the West have now developed a very vibrant film and TV industry. But at the time, there had been, I think, only one other feature ever made in Western Australia before WINDRIDER came along. And it's a credit to all the cast and crew from the West who made that film possible, because it was almost entirely crewed and cast, or at least the other roles besides Tom and Nicole, by Western Australians. And the fact that it got nationwide release, the fact that it did the United Artists deal, the fact that it's still being played around the world is a testament to the people who made the film. And they are to be congratulated.
So are there any stories from the production? You were saying if you could do it again, you might have had some other insight.
I think we made a mistake in hindsight. When you watch the movie, if you've already seen the movie, but if you haven't, Tom Burlinson plays a rich kid who then has issues and has to overcome them. One school of thought says that we should have made him a poor kid to overcome the obstacles and win out in the end. Or the other school of thought was we might have been able to play up the comedy more, because you can play rich heroes having difficult problems, providing that there's something else going on in the movie. And if I was to say one thing about it, which is not to undersell a production I'm very proud of, I would say that if we were doing it all over again, we would look to stress more of the comedy, or we'd look at possibly rewriting that character, because Tom Burlinson did a great job, but the question is, does an audience, especially a teen audience, feel very sympathetic towards somebody who appears to have it all?
And also, there's a lot. We had Big Wednesday screen here a few weeks ago and kind of George Greenoff, the wonderful cinematographer. How did you manage to get him on board?
I've forgotten.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. But it's incredible that you did.
It was 40 years ago.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Anyway, I'd like to bring up Kim and Dave to join Paul. Come on. This is Kim Ballard, who plays Coyote in the film. You sent me some wonderful photos back in the day of you and Dave and George heading up to Geraldton to shoot. Can you tell us some more about your experience in the film, how you became involved and what it was like?
Well, I guess the story really begins how it all started was that, it was advertised in the West Australian for a local movie that we're going to do windsurfing. So anyone that had interest in windsurfing was to come along. We all turned up and got to explain what was going on, and then they said that I got to do a few screen tests, and somehow I ended up landing the part for sailing, and then they said that they had pretty much a small non-speaking part in the movie that I could be, so I became the villain, which is Coyote. And then I remember driving home and they gave me the script, which I did bring along tonight, and gosh, I was sort of on every second page, and it was quite an amazing experience being involved with the whole thing. Then going to Geraldton, George Granoff was an incredible, known to us surfers as a phenomenal water photographer, the first guy to take photos from within the tube. He was famous for lots of different movies. Little things that I can remember at the movie, we're at Flat Rocks at Geraldton doing the shark scene, and George was very famous for his surf mat. He had his homemade water housings, and I remember he had 64 Allen keys that he had to undo, put the film into it. He would swim out with the surf mat. I'd do the rescue and try and grab Dave and put him onto the board, and then George would be waving his arm. He'd run out of film, so we'd have to swim all the way back to the beach, undo the 64 Allen keys, put the film back into it, go back out and do it again. And then as it turned out, they don't even produce 16mm film in WA, so they had to send all the film to Sydney to get it done. And the movie that you saw last night that was here, I mean, it's so easy to do with GoPros and drones and all these things. You can have it all done in such a short amount of time. So, the process was very long and hard. But Dave and I have certainly built a good friendship over the years, and it's amazing in terms of the timing and how the sport progressed. I remember at the time trying, no one in the world had done back loops at all, and Dave was the first guy to have a real red hot crack at it. Paul White was also involved with trying to do it. And then, 6 months after the movie, I mean, everyone in the world was doing backward loops, and it's just amazing how that process and, jumps and things come along. So it also makes me laugh that, 40 years later, the movie's here. I don't think 6 months, I would probably have gone where, someone hasn't brought up WINDRIDER. Right. So it's funny.
Great, thanks. Dave, very well. And Dave Sheen, who was the stunt double and a windsurfing advisor for Tom Burlinson. I was reading that great article about you, how you got involved in stuff. But we'd like to tell us how you were discovered and kind of what the experience was like working on the film and with Tom.
I was actually away in Hawaii, and someone had sent me a message to, probably a letter in those days, had sent me a letter in Hawaii and said that there was a film happening in Western Australia and that they were casting, and I went, oh yeah, right, and went back out windsurfing, and then arrived, I think, a few weeks later, and as it turns out, long story short, I actually looked like Tom Burlinson and no one else did. And I think that's pretty much how I got the job there. So, yeah.
You were saying you had to have your hair cut and tan.
Yeah, we Tom and I went to the same hairdresser. We got the same hairdo, and we also spent time lying next to each other in a separate solarium, getting the same suntans, so that we looked exactly the same out in the water.
You had to teach him how to windsurf as well.
Yeah, that's right. We had to make sure that he didn't look like someone that didn't know how to carry his rig down the beach and whatnot. So basically he could, run down the beach. It was amazing how dedicated he really was. I don't think he'd really seen a windsurfer before, and he really picked it up really quickly. He went from, sort of just figuring out how the wind sort of works on the sail to being able to run down the beach, jump on the board, and that was probably about it. Jump on the board, and then, yeah. So.
I'm very lucky tonight, actually, during all my scouring of the internet looking for forums and different things and equipment. So this is the actual sail that Dave and Tom used in the film. So Ant, who's here tonight, he said he'd like to offer it, to donate it, to give it to you if you'd like to have it as part of your memorabilia. So he's kindly said that, yeah, would you like that?
Well, thank you very much, and we have we live in a shed house, and I reckon there's a spot for that. Thanks.
I'd also like to say, well, anybody got any questions for the three of them? Speak up.
The sail that you use in the film.
Yes.
Used to use that a lot of Dutchies.
Oh, well, no, it was specifically made for the movie. I guess typically with movies there was not to be any advertising brands or anything like that. Dave and I were racking our brains trying to work out who made the sails. As it turns out, Stuart Bell, who's a local sail manufacturer, made that one. With the movie for the villain, it was a double-sided Dacron sail, no logos to do what they effectively did. It was a horrible sail to use because it was incredibly heavy. But no, it really was for the movie. Yeah, probably was, yes. Maybe they just modelled and they wanted that look forever and a day.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I bought the script here and I've been reading it the last few days, which has been of great amusement to me because there's a few things we failed on, I guess. The original script really did ask for 10-foot waves and 25 to 30-foot high jumps. Unfortunately, we didn't get presented with the conditions. In fact, the video we just saw probably had better conditions than we got to shoot in. Would have been nice to have been able to achieve that. We were certainly capable of it. We just didn't get presented with the waves. Sorry, what was the question? Oh.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Question?
Well, when are you guys doing the sequel?
Well, we got motors on foils and things these days. We could do all sorts of different things, couldn't we? Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Any other questions? Maybe? Yeah, up the back, maybe. Any questions? Is George Greenock still alive?
Lives in Lennox. Jed probably lives up in Lennox. Byron Bay. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get on with the movie. Also, just wanted to mention, she was going to send me a video, but I'm sure she got caught up. Jane Seaman was in Chile and just won a major PWA IWT combined wave sailing event yesterday. So that's a huge achievement. She used to be sailing back in the day with us down at Dutch Inn. So she must be our age. So that's a huge achievement. She was going to send us a video introducing the film and thanking us all for her support, but I think she fell asleep. But anyway, Paul, would you like to say a few words?
Just one last comment. As you watch the final sequence and where Tom Burleson allegedly does a complete 360. Hello? There we go. Where Tom's character allegedly does a full 360, we did, after weeks and weeks and months of filming, we did get the 360. Unfortunately, he disappears behind the wave. And therefore, although we got it on camera and it was a first, you'll see that we still had to edit it to see the character land. And therefore, we need not have spent 3 months trying to film the 360.
That's incredible that the film, I remember back in the day when everybody was in all the windsurf magazines and stuff, everybody was trying to be the first to do the 360, so it was a huge achievement that Dave did that. So I'd like to thank you all for coming tonight. Without further ado, I'll run up and turn the film on. This is our final night of the summer film season, so I'm seeing so many familiar faces here who've come to multiple screenings, and thanks for all your support and spreading the word. It's been wonderful, and thanks to Simon and Emma who have helped me through this, and our staff, and we've really enjoyed it. We've got lots more to come, doing indoor movies inside and live music and stuff, so it doesn't stop here, but the outdoor ones do. So we've got perfect night, so thanks to everybody.
And a quick thank you to Paul White for suggesting this idea. So when he suggested it, I think he had a few shardies, and then when I talked to Richard called about 20 different windsurfing communities in Perth to try and get them down here, and I didn't even know there was 20 windsurfing communities in Perth. So great work, great teamwork, and this is what we're about. We're wanting to relive the history, have meaning behind the events that we do here, and we're going to be rolling out a lot more this year. So thanks so much for your support, and yeah, coming back, and we're baby steps, but we're getting there, and we're going to keep improving. So thank you.
Sorry, Will. I'm tired. Second language. Give me a break here. Is it happening? You're like a child.
I am a child.
Love you like a child.
That's cool. Green. Yeah.
Ha ha ha!